Hello friends, welcome to ADO.NET tutorial. In the last sub-series, we talked about the ADO.NET constraints. Now we will see how to use data relation object to establish parent-child relationship between the data tables. In this first video, we will get introduced to data relations. And in the next video, we will talk more about the data relation object. In the last sub-series, we learned about constraints. And in the process, we also explored foreign key. So foreign key is the key in establishing the relationship between two tables. ADO.NET also supports relationship, which is useful to navigate data between related records. So when there are multiple tables, and let's say this is the parent table and this one is the child table, and when we locate a record in parent table, we can locate all relevant record in the child. So the reverse is also possible. When we have a child record, we can say what is its parent record. So we can also navigate, say for example, for a single parent, if there are multiple child available, we can do the navigation by picking the specific record in the parent. We can map all the relevant record. So here in this picture, let's state that a parent record contains two child record. So such a navigation also possible in ADO.NET. This is done via ADO.NET data relation object. So this sub-series is all about this data relation object, and we will get more light about data relation and how do you establish a relationship between two tables. To have a relation in ADO.NET, it is not mandatory to have primary foreign key mapping in the underlying SQL. So in SQL Server, you no need to have the primary foreign key relationship, but still you can establish relationship in ADO.NET. Let's take two tables from pubs database, employee, publishers. In SQL Server, employee table and publisher table is mapped with pub ID column. Let's see that. So here is our SQL Server database, and if you expand pubs table database, we have two tables. One is employee, and if you see, employee is denoted by emp ID, and there is a table called publishers. Publisher is identified by pub ID, right? And in the employee table, you can see a pub ID. So this pub ID refers publisher ID in the publisher table. So this means if you see, each employee is identified by emp ID, but they have publisher ID also. So 0877, and it will belongs to a specific record in the publisher table. So 0877, if you see, the publisher name is Bennett and Hardley. So the employee here, say Helen Bennett, works for 0877, that means Bennett and Hardley publisher. So this way you can establish, this is the relation that exists in SQL Server database, And using the data relation object, we can create data table and relate these two tables to mimic this relationship. But when we load these tables in dataset, this table in the sense employee as well as publisher table in the dataset, such a relationship is not imported between the data tables in ADO.NET. So we know that we can load these two tables in dataset. Let us state that this is dataset DS, and we can load data table for employee and data table for publishers. In database, we saw that there was a relationship between employee and publisher based on publisher ID. But when loading the data here in the data set, right, we will not see this relationship between employee and publisher. So it will not exist by default, and we have to establish such a relationship in ADO.NET. So if we need it, we must create such a relation using the data relation object. So data relation will be a separate object. We will create the data relation, and it will take care of mapping these two tables based on key columns. I mean primary and foreign key column. But as already told, it is not mandatory, but for proper referential integrity, it is good to have such a relation in SQL Server database and then establish the same relation using the data relation object in the front end. That means in ADO.NET. While ADO.NET constraints maintains referential integrity, relationships helps in navigating the data. In the last subseries, we talked about constraints, how to create a primary key constraint, how to create a unique constraint, default constraint, all those stuff we saw, right? So while ADO.NET constraints maintain a referential integrity, relationship helps in navigating the data. So that's what we are going to explore in this subseries. There is no demo in here. Thank you for watching. Bye.